Welcome to GIS World. This is Zia Moid Khan this side from Gudha International School, Gudha Gorji, Jhunjhunu, Rajasthan, India. And as always, I am with you once again during the COVID-19 era when you and me are actually sharing each other's ideas through e-learning. And this e-learning process has become now a very convenient method of learning and teaching. And I hope that as 90% students are taking a lot of help, a lot of aid from this method, the remaining 10% also who are still not joining the mainstream will definitely start looking for these videos and will be benefited just like the rest of 90%. Dear students, there is no any other method apart from these video lectures as far as CBSE board is concerned. Across the world, still coronavirus has not come to an end. That is why we are not able to sit at home helplessly. We need to be extremely active and we need to devote our every single moment in learning something new every day, each day. That is why these videos you must take in good spirit. You must take them very positively, and whatever assignments are submitted to you, are given to you, you must submit them back to me as early as possible before the due date of these assignments. Most of the students are doing very well. Still, those who are left, they are also requested very humbly from my side that please do complete your assignments as early as possible so that when your exams approach nearer, you must be 200% confident that you will shake the world and will get as many marks as possible as far as English literature is concerned. So let's come to our topic of today. From the book Vistas, I have taken the chapter number 8, and this chapter is Memories of Childhood by Zitkala and Bama. Memories of Childhood has been segregated into two parts. This is actually a group of two personal essays or autobiographical essays, and the editor thinks that these are autobiographical episodes. So these two autobiographical episodes are there of the lives of two different women from marginalized society. These two are from, I should write here, marginalized society. What is this marginalized society, dear students? It means the people who are not in the mainstream or who are not regarded very high in a society just because of a prevalent, it means dogma which is there in a certain society, and some people are considered of upper caste and some people are considered of lower caste or lower communities. Upper caste people generally try to suppress the lower caste people, and they assume that these lower caste people must submit before us. And these poor people sometimes face a lot of humiliation in their lives just because they are born in a low category family or in a low class family or a family which is assumed by some as low, because in the eyes of God nobody is lower and nobody is higher, people are equal. And that is why inequality is there in society, and some people rebel against it, some people stand against it, and these two women are the same who faced humiliation, who face indignities in their life just because they thought they belonged to a section of a society which was not regarded very high in their society, and later on they proved themselves that they should not be underestimated. They also can do a lot of better work and can gain respect by working very hard. So, dear students, actually two parts have been given in this chapter of memories of childhood, and one part has been written by Zitkala and another part has been written by Bama. Zitkala and Bama are actually two pen names. The original names are something else. So let me come to the first topic, to the first part of the chapter, that is written by Zitkala. And Zitkala is a Native American writer living in America, and she is looking back. She is looking back at her own childhood when the school, the convent school in which she was a student, she had to face humiliation because of the prevalent, very weird kind of rules and regulations in that school. She rebelled against it. However, she could not be successful at that time. But later on, once she became a writer, she published articles criticizing the rules and regulations of that school. And this one is also one such article which is completely based on her own life experience of her early childhood when she had to face a lot of humiliation. So the theme of the work, two women look back at their childhood and reflect upon their culture, the prevalent dogmas, exploitation and untouchability. Part 1 is named as the cutting of my hair by Zitkala. In this part, Zitkala is telling us through a beautiful narration how her hair was cut when she had admitted into a school, and this school was supposed to be for Native American people, where the rules were very weird and very strange, and she did not find herself comfortable in that very strange environment. So the backdrop of the story, a convent school of Native American girls, the rigid rules and regulations over there, for example, eating by formula and shingled hair of girls. Let me come to the glossary part. Some difficult words have been used here, just like clatter, bedlam, belfry, and now off. Theme of the story, the rebelling of a young girl against the prevalent stereotypical tradition in the convent school for Native American girls. So let me come on the very explanation part of this chapter, dear student. Zitkala takes admission in a school which was a convent school, and she was living in the hostel of that school. In the very early morning when she got up, she got up just after she heard the ringing of the shrill sound of the bell which was actually rang in the belfry, and the sound was so horrible that it made her mind very upset. It was a chilling winter that morning, and the area was narrated by the writer as a land of apples. Land of apples. Apples are generally produced in an area where generally winter conditions are on their sublime. Just like in Jammu and Kashmir in India, there are apple orchards, and the reason is this, because the winters are prolonged over there and a lot of snowfall happens over there. So a lot of snow had covered the entire ground of that school when she woke up that morning, and the shawl which she was wearing at that moment was stripped off from her, and she felt very uncomfortable for two reasons. One, she felt as though she had been stripped of all her clothes. Two, she was feeling a lot of cold because she was shivering. She wanted to sit at the same ground and sink over there, but she had to go to the dining hall to take her breakfast. That was a breakfast bell. And when she reached over there, she found that two rows or two lines had been made. One was supposed for the boys and another one was supposed for the girls. She had to stand in a girls line, and some boys were also going inside the hall. She entered the hall, and there was a small bell attached over there. First bell was rung, and at the same moment she thought that when other students drew their chairs from underneath the tables, she thought that now we are supposed to sit. That is why from one side she slipped inside her chair, whatever she had drawn outside. But when she sat, she realized she was the only one who had actually sit. Other people, other students, other disciples were actually standing by far. So the second bell rang, and when all the people were seated comfortably, some teacher was actually making some announcement, and she wanted to see who the fellow was. But she found other people, other students hanging their heads onto their plates. So she went deep down inside her heart, and she felt very uncomfortable. She saw one pale looking face woman who was staring at her during all this time. And then the third bell rang, and it was supposed that the disciples must resume their eating, their breakfast. But other students started eating, and Zitkala started crying because she was in this new environment. This eating by formula method was not going good as far as Zitkala was concerned. Then her friend told her, one of her friends over there told her that the pale looking face woman was talking about that Zitkala's hair and the other girls here who are having long hair will be actually chopped off. They will be made shingled hair. And when the writer heard this thing, when this little child heard this thing, when later on she became a writer in her life, she said that I will not submit before them, however strong they might be. So at the time, later on in the morning, she saw her opportunity, and she slipped away from there, and she went upstairs and found a very, very spacious room. And there were 3 beds, which were, covered with a white sheet. And she crawled underneath one of the beds and hid herself over there. There was very dim light in that room because the curtains were drawn. Then people started searching her, including her own friend. And when she heard footsteps outside, she was shivering and she was very fearful. But finally some women and girls entered that room, and they started searching her in the cupboards and behind big boxes. And somebody out of them drew the curtains aside, and in that way much light came inside, and she did not know how, but somebody bent down and pulled her outside. Then she started screeching badly, and she started hitting and scratching people, kicking people. But she was made to sit onto a chair, and she was tied over there, and then she felt the blades of scissors onto her long hair, and these long hair were gnawed off. It means they were cut or trimmed, and she was made shingled hair. At the same time, she realized how pathetic was their condition, because in their family, Zitkala's families, her mother had told her that only the war victims, the people who are captured during a war, are generally made shingled hair, or some cowards, or some mourners. So in a respectable society, in a respectable family, shingled hair are no longer required. So she felt very bad. Later on, when Zitkala became a great writer, she wrote articles against the rigid rules and regulations of this school, and she proved herself that she was right, and the system of this school was actually wrong. So we see, dear students, in this chapter how our rights, our human rights, are sometimes curtailed just because of some very weird rules and regulations of a certain organization. But ultimately truth prevails. Ultimately truth prevails, and that is how in this chapter also we come to realize that we must respect and regard the individuality of a girl. So this was a fine first part of this chapter. With these words, I finish this part, and I hope that you will definitely appreciate it. With the second part of this chapter, I will start for you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.